I'm Jerry Craig with the Vet Voice. On behalf of Veterans for America First and Veterans for Trump, we have an issue here in Georgia. We want to discuss Hurricane Debby and its impact on our southeastern coastal area of Georgia. We are aware that there has been a vacuum or a lack of services for those affected by the hurricane and aftermath flooding of Hurricane Debby that hit our great state on August 4th and 5th. I want the individuals affected by this directly to know that the FEMA.gov website has individual assistance application program, and they have a toll-free phone number of 1-800-621-FEMA. Additionally, Georgia residents can contact GEMA.georgia.gov for a direct assistance to the Georgia Emergency Management Assistance. Sorry. And the phone number there is 404-635-7200. I have the pleasure of having on our show today, or on this podcast, election integrity activist Linda Menk, who is concerned about the ineffectiveness of the Georgia politicians to help out the citizens affected by Hurricane Debby. And I also have Holly Kesler, who is a great patriot American citizen, who is the state director of Citizens Defending Freedom. So thank you for coming on and bringing attention to this. Holly, you're local in that area. What has been the impact, and what has been the actions by the local governing bodies down there? What's going on?
So, as all of y'all know, Hurricane Debby came through and she dumped massive historical amounts of rain in the Savannah and surrounding areas. And, we are on the coast, we're on the Atlantic Ocean, but we do also have large rivers, running in. And there was so much rain, some of the dams have been breached. Obviously we've seen lots of road closures, and I mean large road closures, a lot of highway closures, which has really backed up massive, caused massive clogging of the interstates, I-16 and I-95. So there's been issues in that regard. A lot of areas that are not even in a flood zone, and actually don't have flood insurance because they're not usually in a flood zone, or wouldn't typically be in one. They've lost everything, their homes, the water's come in just so quick. And so we've been dealing with this now for almost 2 weeks. And one of the biggest things, now I will say the communities have been absolutely astronomical. I mean, people have come out of the woodwork, locally. We did have Convoy of Hope come in with a tractor trailer from Missouri. So that was wonderful. As far as local officials, our local officials have been meeting and discussing things. There has been activity there with them, and then with our local firefighters and police. We've even had some military step in and it was my understanding they weren't supposed to, but they have come through, which, Fort Stewart was heavily affected. So, and they're right there, and they were flooded out too. So we've been fortunate, as far as locally. I think the biggest concern is there has been quite a lack of communication. I have been in touch with John Burns, which is our speaker here in Georgia, and also my local representative. And so I have asked him questions. He has responded. But things like this, I feel like, Jared, that you need representation. They serve the people, and they should be there finding out firsthand what this is. And not that we're not, doing what everybody can do and stepping in. I just really think there needs to be a call for our legislators to show up. They should be boots on the ground too.
Right. It's sorry to interrupt, but it's been 2 weeks since this has occurred, and they still haven't proactively gone out and met the people at their homes, met the people at the community centers, and tried to do anything.
This is, Jared, this is exactly what we saw with East Palestine, Ohio. When we had what was a train that derailed and dumped hazardous chemicals, and nobody showed up. President Trump showed up, and that was a disaster. And you have young families. Think about this. When Holly says that their homes are destroyed, these people lost everything. and they're not covered by flood insurance. And the community is doing what they can. But why do we pay taxes for the Georgia Emergency Management Agency that is fed by FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, that our tax dollars go to support, and they're not there to help these people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a dereliction of duty. You bring up the East Palestine and you're dealing with the toxic water issue. But with any flooding, that's the underlying threat is, as we learned with Katrina and other hurricanes, when the water is sitting, there's a lot of precipitating, sorry, the double meaning there, but there's precipitating injuries that occur from stagnant water, from disease, lack of resources, hunger, spoiled water, all of these things, that happens after the hurricane.
Yeah.
And if you don't jump on it and get the resources necessary to the people, you're leaving them high and dry for a service that you're right, Linda, that has been paid for through their tax dollars.
Yeah. So
And
they need help.
Well,
Yeah.
Holly, go ahead.
I was just gonna say real quick, we did have some of that too. In certain areas, we had some threats, and well, I say threats, they were real issues with, the sewage water backing up into other areas, and then, causing sanitation concerns for, the water. So yeah, it's really been a struggle, and I do know that they finally got pumps to one area. But it's like, why are you just getting pumps to one area? We need a lot of pump in a lot of areas, and we
Right.
need more help, so things just seem to be very, very slow, and there's no media coverage. Linda and I were talking, and she's quite a few hours away from me, and she's not the only one that's told me. I mean, people have said this should be national news.
Yeah.
We're not even hearing it in Atlanta. We're not hearing it in Texas.
If you go on the internet, Jared, I checked it last night. All the reporting is 8 days old. I mean, there's nobody reporting on this. And Holly, I know Holly is updating a needs list of items that the families need. She's updating that list, and she'll have a link. Holly, explain that, how people can get in touch and order supplies to send in there for items that people need.
Yeah, I would love to have that.
Yes, we've been updating an Amazon list. And so it was started with one of the churches, and they keep updating it. Of course, we did have to change the location because the church is flooded in the midst of this. So now it's going to a community center, but you just literally click on the link, and I'll be posting that. I'll make sure you get that link, Jared, and you do as well, Linda, but I'll be posting it on all my social media as well. When we get off of here, I just looked and they've updated it. So yeah, I'll be posting that and make sure that y'all get it, to push out as well. But it updates the list of what the major need is. And so not only is food and water and, the items right now, but there's also a coordinated effort to help these families after the fact. And what I mean by that is they're going to need gloves. They're going to need, masks to go in and pull stuff out of their homes. I mean, there's a lot of work still to come. And so that's all what you're going to see on the
baby formula and things like that. This cleanup, and Holly, you did mention to me last night that the Patel family has been really good about opening up their hotels to give people shelter. And so that has been a huge help in the area, but they can't stay in those hotels forever.
Right.
We've got to get them shelter.
Well, in addition to the shelter and the emergency immediate needs, they also need to know where they can go. And I want them to exhaust all their remedies. Neighbors and friends of the community, it's wonderful that they're stepping up. But in addition to that, how many more people could be helped if GEMA and FEMA would step up?
Yeah.
And we talked about the legislative representatives. You spoke to the speaker, you reached out to them. But have y'all heard anything from the governor's office? Has anybody from Governor Kemp's office made any statement about what's going on in, regarding the Debby flooding?
No, the only thing that I'm aware of was he did declared a statewide emergency
Yeah.
disaster, but that's it. So
That
far.
was that was 10, 11 days ago.
Yeah, that was before it even hit, so
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Well, I was unaware. As y'all know, I'm a Georgia resident. I'm right here south of Atlanta in Coweta County, and I was unaware to the extent of this. And I feel as though I've got a pretty good thumb on the pulse of what's going on in our state. But I was surprised when y'all reached out to me and let me know what was going on. And I felt the urgency immediately that we need to get some attention to this. We need to get the right people there to bring the right kind of attention to help out these citizens of Georgia. And if we could bring some attention and have some of our conservative candidates from that area, or even all the way up to the top of the ticket, if Donald Trump can make it an appearance as a stop and go, or at least reference this as a concerned citizen for the
Yep.
safety and welfare of the citizens of the state of Georgia, I think that would go a long way. So I want to drive people to help out in the meantime, because as you know, if GEMA or FEMA starts to act, they're going to be a little bit slower than your neighbor down the street, than the person that you go to church with. They're more than likely going to have blankets and things of that nature. So in closing, what would you like to, and I'll start with Linda, what would you like to speak to the elected officials of the state of Georgia concerning the Debby hurricane flood?
I would just like to say that we're all praying for the people over there, but prayer without action is, in my opinion, that's useless. It's time to get up, to do something. Ask God to be on your side. Ask God to protect these people, to restore them, but to show up and get involved. Make sure that you give them what they have paid for. Their taxes have paid for everything that is available. It's just nobody's making it available to them. And so our churches are willing to get involved. They're willing to help. They're already doing it in that community. But it's time for, the people who are elected to office to do a job, step up and do it. And if you're not willing to do the job, then get out of the way and let's bring somebody in there, reelect somebody that is willing to do the job.
Thank you for that, Linda. And Holly, what would you like to close on?
Well, Linda pretty much just summed it up for us. That was great, Linda. Thank you. And I agree. I mean, you're public servants. You run for office to serve the people and your constituents. Show up. It's time to show up. This is where you need to be. And it is very disappointing. And I think it's kind of a tell-all story when, you're not showing up and boots on the ground because, if roles were reversed, I would want somebody to help me, and I think that's what they should be doing. But I am very grateful. I'm born and raised here. And so I know a lot of people around this entire area. And I'm just very grateful for everybody who has stood up and helped, no matter where the area, what the situation. I mean, there's been people getting, evacuating nursing homes at 1 o'clock in the morning. There was a call to get kids. We needed boats and manpower to get moms and kids out of the home because a street that hadn't been flooded just like within a couple hours, water was gushing in. And so these people that in our community that have stood up and done something, honestly, they probably need to be the next mayor or the next representative. Maybe we can get some good ones involved. But yeah, I'm very grateful. I would just like to see more. I expect more of our representatives.
Well, I would like to say also in closing that when we have a crisis, we all come together, regardless of our policies, our belief systems. When we have basic needs of our citizens and our neighbors, it doesn't matter how you vote, left wing, right wing, conservative, Republican, libertarian, or undecided. We care for our neighbors, and that's the focus of this effort, is to call attention for all of our brothers and sisters across the state of Georgia that have been affected by the Hurricane Debby flooding. So please, I want you to look into this, call your representatives, reach out to whoever you think is necessary to get the supplies and assistance. And I'll supply all the information that was shared today in the explanation of this when we post this on our YouTube channel. So thank you, ladies, for coming. Thank you for being concerned citizens. And I hope to stay in touch with both of you until we make sure everybody's got what they need.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.